Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has approved the Model Tenancy Act on Wednesday. It will help overhaul the legal framework with respect to rental housing across the country, which would help spur rental markets' overall growth in the country. Hello friends, I am Ravi Kumar Divakar and you are watching Property Matters. The Model Tenancy Act in India is now a reality. So let us find out what does it hold for tenants and landlords, what change does it bring, and how will it impact the real estate sector. How will this act impact the real estate sector and rental market?
The beauty of this entire amendment and proposal which has come is that more than 1.1 million houses, 11 lakh houses, will now be available to come on rent. This is going to be an economic marvel and will provide shelter to a large number of people. People were hesitant to give their houses on rent. They were never sure whether they would get the rents, whether they would get the vacant possession when the time was over. All this is sought to be taken care of at this point of time. The tenant is also protected. The landlord cannot, unless of grievous default, remove the tenant from the house. All this goes to show that the stakeholders, namely the landlords, owners, the tenants, as well as investors, will all now be willing to invest into rental housing, as well as people being able to get affordable rental housing in the entire country.
The Model Tenancy Act created by the Government of India will now be circulated to all the state and union territories. The states will now adapt the Model Act either through fresh legislation or by amending their existing rental laws. If the state implement the Model Tenancy Act in true letter and spirit of the Act, we are likely to see an overall change in how we rent a house in India. But what provisions of this law will bring a change?
Land is actually a state monitored subject. And that's why if you are presently a resident of Delhi and you shift to Bangalore, as a tenant, you continued to remain under a guessing game out of what is your rights and what are your laws. What are the laws that protect you? This act tends to, is an effort towards actually standardizing all relationships that are existing between landlord and tenants across India. Now, what are the key features is that presently under the existing regimes, different sectors of tenants get protection. So let's say in Delhi, only a certain portion of the tenants who are occupying their premises with respect, who are paying less than 35,000 rupees rent are protected. Everyone else is not protected. Now, this act creates a blanket for the quantum of rent being paid. It has certain exceptions in terms of who are those sectors of types of contracts which will not apply in terms of the land use. So there are certain exceptions, but having said that, the consequence of this act coming into force will be that all across the country there are going to be standard laws. The other set of key features is now there is going to be digitization of everything. You have a protection under this act if you are registered on their portal of the relevant rent authorities. So rent authorities are going to be at state level, and wherever you are living, the obligation is on both the parties to jointly submit the form on the web portal. Once you have the digital registration, then you are entitled to many ease of access provisions.
The newly enacted law aims at creating a vibrant, sustainable and inclusive rental housing market in the country. It will enable creation of adequate rental housing stock for all the income groups. The Model Tenancy Act will also help bridge the true deficit between tenants and landlords by clearly laying down their obligations. So does it mean the way we draft a rental agreement will also change?
This act gives certain protections to tenants and to landlords, but that is available only if you have registered your tenancy. If you have not registered your tenancy, those protections are not available. You will have to go to the normal court and take whatever sweet time that takes. And at no point of time am I recommending that that's not something one should do, right? But my point remains that if there is a beneficial legislation that is created, it needs to have that ease of access which this act has, which is why things will change. A tenant will say to his landlord that today if we are entering into this agreement, we will have to pay the relevant registration, we should pay the requisite stamp duty, and we'll register our tenancy, so that tomorrow if I need protection, if you want to throw me out, at least I should have a court I can go to say please protect me. This act in fact creates a protection for a situation which is like a force majeure. So like let's say in Mumbai, there is some unforeseen circumstance that's happened in terms of a flood. This act says that you will get protection, that you will be entitled to stay in your premises for that period, plus 1 month from the date of expiry of that event.
So what will happen to tenancy disputes now? How does the new law give you a speedy justice?
Model Tenancy Act has been in discussion for the last 2.5 years, So finally the center has given a nod yesterday itself, and it's a very, very good step towards creating a vibrant and sustainable rental housing market in India. What happening is in India, rental housing market is quite unorganized. And so this Model Tenancy Act will firstly help to organize and regulate the sector. Entire act states that you have to compulsorily do an agreement and get it, registered. So gone are the days when verbal agreements and discussions and then subsequent litigations were there. So everyone has to compulsorily write down and register an agreement. Secondly, now they have put a cap on the security deposit. So a security deposit for a residential is capped to a 2-month, and for a commercial is capped to a 6-month. So no landlord can just say that I need 1 year of security deposit, otherwise I'm not leasing it out to you. So tenants will equally be aware of their rights and kind of security deposits that can be charged. Thirdly, very important, the act says that there will be a rent authority, a rent court which will be set up. So no civil court and all will now take up these cases. There will be a dedicated rent court wherein all the litigations and all can be, submitted onto, and you'll get a resolution within 60 days. So there is a time-bound redressal mechanism also on the rental discrepancies per se. Fourthly, the landlord and tenants, their own responsibilities have been defined. So landlord has to take care of certain things like the structural damages and to the walls and all, while the tenant, when you're living on an operation basis, if there are glass panes, windows which are broken, you need to replace them, and there are list of things that they have to take care on their own part. So there are going to be less discussions and discrepancies saying that I did not do this, you did not do that, and that's why I need so much money and all that. So that is one. One more benefit is that this is also a prospective law. So MTA, as we call Model Tenancy Act, is not going to be a retrospective one. So going forward, once implemented, all the new agreements and all will fall under this purview. So it does not really hamper any agreements currently in place.
The Model Tenancy Act aims to give speedier justice to both landlords and tenants, create new rental housing stock, formalize rental market in India, and address housing shortage. Thank you so much for watching this show. Don't forget to subscribe to MBTV and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. If you have any suggestions, do write to me in the comment section below. This is Ravi Kumar Diwakar with my cameraman Nitin Rajput.
Don't forget to subscribe to MBTV on YouTube and press the bell icon to get the latest videos.